Well, hey everybody, this is Don with the Vlog of Many Things, and to my right or left is...
Tenkar, folks.
And down below, we have with us author Stephen Lake, author of the Earthfleet Saga and several other, which we're going to get into. Steve, how you doing?
Oh, doing good.
RPG Grandma is in the chat. How you doing, RPG Grandma? Glad to see you. Rod, how you doing? All right. Well, to kind of get into this evening, what we're going to do is we're going to be talking with Stephen Lake about his books, about the tie-in to sci-fi and
Okay, good.
Good.
Wait a second, I got an echo on my end here.
Okay.
If there's no technical difficulties, are usually par for the course.
Yes. If you have YouTube open, Steve, you might want to close YouTube.
Or at least
Sometimes
Not open right now. Oh, I see what it's doing. Got it.
Yeah.
Found it.
Okay. Yeah. So,
Discord.
yeah. So, we're going to get into that a little bit. We're going to be doing kind of a recap of the post show with last week's Ken Whitman show about some of the things that Ken got behind the scenes with to try to get us kind of like a gotcha moment and kind of backfired on him. So, Steve, again, hello. How you doing?
Doing good, man.
A little bit of history. Me and Steve have known each other for, 16 years now, Steve? It's been almost?
Something like that, yeah.
Yep. I do most of Steve's book covers and layouts for his books, so I know his product well. Like I said, he's a prolific sci-fi writer. Steve, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I write science fiction, fantasy, adventure novels. I have Christian ministry books. I'm a Linux systems administrator, and I love history. So, especially like steam trains and old school, like 1800s level technology, stuff like that.
Oh,
Gotcha.
pretty cool.
Fugly says Don's audio is popping.
Yeah, you're a little crickly, crackly.
My little crickly crackly. I am sorry. I don't know what's going on with my audio. Hold on 1 second. I try to see what is going on with my audio because I don't mean to make it prickly and crackly.
At least it's not my fault, Theater, so I will gladly accept that. Don doesn't sound bad to me, but it did sound bad in the first opening 10 seconds, but then it cleared up. But,
Okay, Thaddeus, can you hear me okay now? So, well, my apologies if my audio's off because I don't know why it would be, but
okay,
we'll figure it out during as the show goes on. Like I said, I apologize if my audio's off.
Yeah, I would just blame Tom for not being here.
Yeah, we'll just blame Tom. He's not here to defend himself.
Yeah, always blame the one that's not here. Come on.
Okay, I am getting weird connection, getting lost, and on my end.
Well,
We're getting some bad weather up here, so it might be part of the bad weather we're getting up here. But we have fiber optic leading up to us. I don't know why it would be anything like that. So, but at any rate, life moves on. But all right, sorry about that. A little bit discombobulated here because of the audio.
Anyways, we're talking about books.
Yeah, we were talking about books. Let me see something here real quick. There's a short in my audio. Let's do it this way. How's that? A little bit better?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
You sound more masculine. Not
Okay, good deal.
before.
All right.
You're bassier.
Good. I'm more masculine. Good deal. Okay, well, moving on. So, Steve, you said you do a lot of sci-fi stuff like that. You have a series called the Earthfleet Saga, correct?
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about it.
Okay, the Earthfleet Saga is it's a military sci-fi adventure that is basically this group called Earthfleet, who is the military arm of the society, fully known as the Brayburn Society, but they just call themselves a society. They are tasked with defending Earth, and that series basically covers everything that they do, the species that they have to deal with, because there's like thousands of races in the galaxy, ranging from bug species to bird and different ones like that. And Earth is kind of in the middle of this, is this little backwater planet. But there's it starts out with another group who are humans as well. if you read the series, you'll understand where they come from. But they basically are trying to get the whole galaxy to go to war so they can take over. You know, typical of human bad guys. But the way it's done is it's smooth as soap. You know, the way it's done is you have like they say, thousands of races, and then you've got the 9 ancient races, which are the 9 biggest of the races. They take up majority of the galaxy, and everybody else kind of sits inside their individual empires and republics. You've got like the Angolorians, which is a wolf race that I would kind of equate them somewhat between Romans and Klingons in personality. You've got the Varnock, which is a aquanoid fish race. The Gaekvan, which is a reptilian race. They were actually the first one of the 9 that I came up with because I thought I'd go flip the script, which I love doing in my stuff. If I don't follow normal tropes, I'll take a trope and go, okay, let's put it on its head and see what we get. And that's where the Gaekvan comes from, because usually people are like, okay, the reptilians are going to be the bad guys in the story, and we're never going to make them the good guys, so I made them the good guys. And then I've got like the Yandians, which are these anthropomorphic tabby cats that, you know, the old pun, curiosity killed the cat. Well, they have to be information nerds. So you got them. You've got the Trigarians, which are a tiger race. You've got the Yetish, which are essentially Yeti. The Gaydol, which is a rabbit species. That they're best friends. Those guys hang around all over the place. You got the Trepidor, who are basically they're gigantic herons.
So basically, the races of your books are kind of like cross-related to animals and reptiles and such. How many books are in that series?
There's 4 in the Earthfleet Saga, 3 in the Extended Universe, and I still have 2 more on my plate that I'm looking at doing. Maybe more, but 2 for sure.
Okay, and you've also got a series that's involving a book called Lion in the Wind, correct?
Yes, Land of the Lions. It's another one of those flip the script type books. It's a 4-book series that covers a group of sentient cybernetic lions. So instead of a human or a living creature being the hero, in this case, it's a group of lions. And the framework of the story is built kind of on the concept of Narnia, in a sense. Not like a one-to-one of Narnia. It's kind of the idea of the lions are the heroes, and then instead of Aslan, you've got Meshwa, and you've got Nagago is kind of the I can't say the White Witch. He's kind of the devil character, and you have Meshwa and them two going at each other, and Tagani's in the middle is sort of the trying to think. It's where you stand in for somebody else. I can't think what it is. Proxy. He's the proxy for Meshwa. So it's kind of like they're fighting these two like deity beings are fighting a war, but they have to do it via proxies, and Tagani's one of the proxies in this war.
So you compared it to Narnia. Now you also have kind of a religious twist to this, correct? You bring your faith into the book stories, correct?
Yes.
How do you do that?
Well, if you look at like Land of the Lions, that one is done from a, how do I say, it's allegorical. That one's very, very allegorical, and I like to try things. So just like in each book, I'm trying something a little different. Like maybe I'll try out a master theme across a series of books, or I'll try out a different theme in each individual book. Like this, in this one they did this, and this one they did this. And that's kind of how that one plays out, because I start out with just the basic war, good versus evil. There's multiple levels of evil because you have Feral Black that you have to deal with. You have the Meshwa Nagago battle. You've got 3 different races on this planet. You have the Gigzan, which are essentially the humans. They're the eggheads. You've got the Gorg. They're essentially trolls, is what they are. They're big brutish dudes. And then you've got the Sadisons, which I keep using Klingon, but I don't really have a better example that people would know in a wider aspect of to compare them to. So I'd say they're the warrior class, the Sadisons. So they're kind of the Klingons and honor bound and all that kind of stuff. So
now you have other books that you've written that are not sci-fi, correct?
Well, those 3 are all sci-fi. I got Land of the Lions, Earthfleet, and then I have Off-World Chronicles. Now, Off-World Chronicles is survival sci-fi. It's done It's done with a religious center, but I've had a lot of people love it just the way it is, regardless if they're, if the main character is a Christian or not. And then because, yeah, he's the Christian, but then there's a lot of other stuff going on because Offworld Chronicles is about a survival adventure about a guy. He's a computer geek. He gets kidnapped and taken to this planet and put into this 6,000-mile long survival race. And he runs up against dragons. He runs up against the controllers, which run the race, and the controllers are otherwise known as the Syndicate. The Syndicate's broken up into two groups. You've got kind of like this Men in Black Section 17 group. You've got the other half, which is the Alien Brotherhood, which is a bunch of demons. Then you've got Section 9, which is basically the CIA come from Earth. They run into dragons, but these aren't like your normal scaly dragons like you see in most fantasy. They are essentially, they're a chimera. They are they're like winged dogs, but they can breathe fire and different things like that. If you want to, or I can just pull it up and then you can screen share and I can show you what they look like. But
cool.
let's see here. Yeah, and I also, for those of you that don't know, I have a complete wiki that covers all the different characters and people and stuff in my writing world. I don't have.
Drop the link to your wiki, Steve.
Excuse
me. Okay, right here. Well, what I'm going to do here real quick is I'm going to go and I'm going to copy the wiki, and then what I will do here is, let me go over here and I'll share the page. Better yet, how's that?
Yeah, that works.
Let me go into here. Excuse me while I share a screen.
There it goes.
There we are.
Yep. And that little winged dog character in the corner is one of the dragons. It's just, and the basic premise behind that is everybody on Offworld saw them and they're like, dragons. So the name kind of stuck. So yeah, that race had been, the race itself that they're involved in stretches for, or it's been already going on for like 500 years. And then there was, prior to them being on this planet here, they were on another planet prior to this called Ember, which that'll be covered in other books, but it is mentioned in the series. So like you got dragons like Zack and Zack, Fallon, Darloon, Maggie. It's just a fun bunch of characters there. And then as they're going along, they meet all these different groups. They meet a Baroness. They meet a guy who pretty much is the clone of Barbossa from Pirates of the Caribbean. He was the character model I used to model that in my mind so I could get the character correct.
Yes.
And so there's all kinds of fun stuff. And you meet, you run into the demons, Section 9s, and there's all these moving parts going on all the way through this. And the end goal is to get to the end and win. And then once, at the end of that 7-book series, just because of how much was in motion in that book series, I couldn't do an epilogue and do the story justice at the end of the 7th book. So I created created a trilogy to go after it called After Offworld, which covers Simon's group, the Dragons of Offworld, and
Simon is a major character in your books.
Yes, Simon is the main character in the book. He's the one that starts off everything. Then he picks up Trevor, who's a street smart kid from Chicago. They pick up Aria. She's this kind of street urchin, also from Chicago. Then they pick up Barash. This is a 7'5", built like a tank Nigerian. This dude's just beast mode, just huge. Then they also pick up Alex, who is he's like 60 years old. He's been there for like 35 years, I think, somewhere around there. He was early 20s when he got kidnapped. He's British SAS. So he's kind of the military expert for part of the book. Then you have also Jurg, who is a sentient tiger, not cybernetic. He's an actual tiger, but he's what they call a TEL, or technologically enhanced life form. So he's got like a little computer and stuff in his body to make him smart and able to talk and all that stuff. And that's the main team. and they go through there. They run into pirates. They run into gigantic dire wolves, all kinds of cool stuff.
And then on this Realms of Imagination wiki, that has all of your writings, that details all the different books, all of your different stuff.
All the major, minor characters, unless the character is like completely insignificant, like they're just in for a few paragraphs and out, they're probably not going to be there. Everybody else will.
Now, you've also written a book called Dreamland Articles, correct?
Yeah, that one's not around anymore. That one went out of print, but
now you're revamping that, correct?
I took some of the stories out of that and I did them as short stories on my YouTube channel for Short Story Fridays.
Yeah, now that's right. Let's talk a little bit about your YouTube channel. You do a YouTube channel where you do, what exactly are you do?
Well, there's three things I basically do. I'm on pause right now because I got to sort out some other things first and then I can get back into it. But I've got on Mondays, once I restart it here, hopefully soon, I will have Intro to Writing, which is just, here's writing, here's the things you got to consider. Is it weather? Is it landscape? Is it other things like that? Just things you need to know as a new author starting out. Somebody who doesn't have any experience, they've only been in it a year or two, and they want to learn how to do it. Wednesdays, I'm featuring a particular novel in my series. The next one up is going to be book one of Off-Road Chronicles called The Race. Mm-hmm. That one is going to be the next one featured, and I just do a chapter a week for that one until it's done. After that will be the next series I'm working on, which is called Mageful. And that is a book series that is a parody on RPG gaming. So
yeah, that's the one we were talking about the other day that you had to do the cover for.
Yeah,
okay.
that one's going to be a lot of fun. It's not like a full story like a normal novel and stuff. It's all these little vignettes that are like, if you've ever RPG gamed, you'll look at them and go, yes, I can relate to that.
Steve, the people here in this audience definitely have RPG gamed. I mean, that's what we got right here.
No, you think?
No.
Yeah, so it's all these little vignettes, and then there's a bunch of different characters in there. The main one, though, that so far of everybody I've had test out some of my stories, read them, tell me what they thought of them, was a character called Rogue Dragon. This guy, if you've ever seen the anime One Punch Man, he's essentially that, but for RPG gaming. He's this mage that's just so ridiculously high up in his level that he'll be like, oh, I'll just knock that leaf off that tree over there. Goes half the forest, like, oops.
Yeah, so it's like a typical 5e magic user.
He's like got the needle pegged in the red and buried halfway to China. So,
but the thing is, oddly enough, you really don't play role-playing games.
Not anymore. I used to play them a lot, but I kind of, everything going on, I don't have the time anymore. Plus, the guys I used to play with pretty much gave up on it because they don't have the time either. So,
you work for an ISP though. You're a senior
web host. Yeah.
Yeah, you're a senior tech guy in that company.
Yeah.
So, what exactly do you do in your job? You don't mind me asking.
Well, I used to just be a regular support admin on the floor, but now I'm a support coach. So now I teach the guys coming in behind me who need the extra training for level 1, level 2, level 3. Mm-hmm. I'm not good enough to be training system admins, which is our L4 and L5, but I do get everybody else below that, which is fine. That works out perfectly for me because that's part of what I love doing is teaching other people things.
Gotcha. And so besides writing and work, what else do you do?
Not a lot.
Not a lot.
Those keep me busy. I do my own dev work, so that keeps me busy. I've got like I said, I got my ministry stuff. I'm constantly busy. There's always something for me to do.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. So, kind of getting into, like I said, you haven't done any. What kind of role-playing games you used to play?
The biggest, I used to play a bunch of them, but the biggest one I used to play was an old pencil and paper game that me and a bunch of friends came up with. It was like 16 of us at one point in time, and it was just pencil, paper, DM, and a couple pair of dice, and we just went at it. It was just whatever we wanted to do for that night. And
kind of like a role-playing game on the fly, not really any firm rules, just kind of
right. Yeah, we just kind of rolled with. We started with a theme, and off we went. You never knew where you were going, but that's what made it so much fun.
Yeah,
and everybody had their the big thick books of like all their stats and the characters and stuff all written down and stuff. So
Yep. Yeah, because you were the one, me and you were the ones that did when I had my publishing company, ATP, Author Tracker Pro, and tried to fire that up, but we couldn't fire that back up because the PHP was so outdated and such.
yeah, that was written for 5.6, and we're up to 8.0 now. So
8.0 now, yeah. So so what else about you? I mean, anything interesting about you that you want to talk about besides your writing or anything like that? Or
well, I mean, one of the things I did mention was that I like history. I love studying because I have a very mechanical mindset. So I love things that were done mechanically, and especially if you look back in antiquity, that's all they had. They didn't have computers. So how did they go in and solve these various problems? What mechanical solutions did they use? That's where steam engines come in and are so interesting to me. Hit and miss engines, like the old way they used to sail ships. I've even got an idea, or I even use some of that knowledge in my Awful Chronicles, and I don't know how much to tell without spoiling anything, but there's a ship in there that I came up with called a semi-clad, which is like a combination of an ironclad and a wooden sailing ship that the good guys end up using. So you put my website up there. Cool.
Yeah, I can't put it up into the
yeah,
chat.
right now, real quick.
It's got a link, so
I am putting it right now into, and there it is. That is in our live, and I'm also going to put it in the chat real quick in case anybody wants to go ahead and click on it. There it is. That is Steve's realmsofimagination.net. Now, let me ask you a question, Steve. How do you relegate writing? You're a very religious person. I've known you for a long time, and you are very religious. But how do you relegate your religion and your religious beliefs into science fiction? Because they're kind of something totally different than each other, aren't they?
Science fiction can be. It depends on how you do it. I write my science fiction from obviously a Christian worldview, but I don't make it preachy. It's basically, how I understand the world, science, creation, stuff like that, and then I apply that to the books. But it's not, it's not over there, thou shalt go to hell or anything like that. It's just, this is the way I understand science. This is how it goes into the fiction, and go from there.
Yeah, because that's one thing about your writing that I even can vouch for is you're not preachy in your sci-fi. It's actually pretty hardcore sci-fi. I mean, for those who are really into, you're very technically based.
Yes, I like to be very accurate scientifically as much as I can, either accurate scientifically as far as proven science, or as far as science theory goes. Now, some things obviously like warp drive and stuff, you have to go outside of even science theory, but for the rest of it, I try to stay as tight to actual facts and actual science as I can. So it makes it believable, so you can walk out your front door and say, hey, maybe such and such is happening up there,
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, the thing is, and one more thing, you're going to be at WizardCon this year in 2025.
Yes.
You're going to be there with your books and all that. So people have a chance to meet with you and probably maybe have you do a panel, talk about science fiction writing and such. So what advice would you give to somebody who, let's talk about publishing for a few minutes. You've been through the whole gambit. You were with me when I had my publishing company. We both published our books. We both help each other out. As somebody who has several, you have quite a few books published on Amazon, what advice would you give somebody who says, I want to get in, I have a book. I want to get that into print. I want to get that into Amazon or into publish. What would the advice that Stephen Lake gives these people to get their book published?
Well, if you've never done it, one, be sure you have a tough skin, because as soon as you go out there, you will have the wolves descending on you like nothing. That's just the facts of it. And the other thing is, don't do it for the money. Do it because you love it. Because if you do it for the money, you'll ruin it for yourself. You'll ruin it for other people. If you do it because you love it, you will have the best time of your life. And you'll actually have fun and enjoy doing it. It won't seem like a chore, or you're at work or you're on the clock or anything like that. It'll actually be fun and something you want to do.
And one more thing, and this kind of carries over to the lecture that we give people when they write games and they do games, is editing. Make sure you get a good, solid editor.
That's another thing. That's another thing. Yeah, if you're not good at editing, yeah, finding a good editor is an important part. One thing though, I've learned that and this is something new I've added probably within the last 2 years, is if you can get a good AI voice service, like I use, I sent you the link. I think it's a Natural Reader, I think is the name of the company. But anyways, what I use that for is I will write the story and I will go through it on my own and I will edit it and edit it and edit it until I feel like I've got everything. And then I put it into the natural voices and let it read it back to me, and it finds things that I did not catch. And
but aren't you concerned though about one of the things about AI readers is they can mispronounce words, they can do stuff like that. So if you plug that into an AI reader and it's reading it back to you, how do you know that that error that the AI reader is reading to you is actually an error on your part as writing, or maybe it's an error on the AI's part in the way it's translating the writing?
I actually have the manuscript open and I'm reading along as it's going through. And what I'm doing is I have my ear tuned, and it'll go along, and all of a sudden I hear something that sounds off, and I'll stop. I'll go back and I'll look at it, maybe rewind it, have it reread it. Because sometimes it'll go through and like the character, I'll say the character was reading a book, and the AI would come back, the character was reading a book, and I'm like, that doesn't sound right. And I go back and check it. No, it's right. Okay. So the AI is going to make mistakes. I realize that, but it's good because it will, when it reads it back to me, when it's reading back, I will hear something and it would trip a little flag, and I'll just stop and I'll look at it, make sure it's right. And I've had it where I'm going along and I'm missing words, or for some reason, when I'm reading along, my brain, like I've had it where I've somehow lost an entire line or two in my manuscript, and I'm going along, and if I'm reading it, my brain automatically fills in that missing line. But when the reader goes in there, oh, wait a second, it's like, this just jumped from this to this. How did that happen? You go back and, oh, there's a whole line missing. Okay, we'll fill that in. And so that it's really good for that. It's for catching those little things that, as a reader, your brain will automatically fill in, or it will overlook, or it's spelled one way, but you automatically read it another, and the AI voices will call you out on that, because they will catch that in a hurry. Because like I've had one of my big problems, although I'm getting better at it, is getting meat and met wrong, clothes and cloths. For the longest time, I kept writing cloths instead of clothes, and the AI reader would read that, and I'm like, oh, that's not right. Oh, I did spell that wrong. So get in there, or you'll use I sometimes will use but and however too often, and I'm going through there and I hear that come up too often. I'm like, yeah, okay, probably should go back and fix that. So it's useful in that sense. It's kind of like that's the last step you take before you maybe hand it off to an editor to go through and finalize it, because then that's less work they have to do. You've already got as much as you can possibly get, and there's very little left for them, so you don't get a paperback from them that looks like a ink factory blew up all over it.
Now, go ahead.
Well, I was about to say, you bring up some very good points, because if you don't have the thick skin and any kind of creativity, you're going to walk away.
Yes.
It's what it comes down to. I mean, I started out blogging, then to podcast, then to YouTube. And first off, your initial work, if you look back, I can look back at blog posts that I did back in, 2012. And I look at what I'm doing now and what I'm writing about now, and you can see the voice has changed. The ability to express yourself, the more you do it, the better you get at it.
Yes.
And I think that the biggest advice is, if you have a passion and you want to write, start writing. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. If you keep on putting it off, you're never going to do it.
Yes. And also, when people start out, they have to remember, unless they've already been doing writing where they've got at least some experience in writing, if you're just starting out doing creative writing, understand that your stuff is going to suck. Yep. And that's expected. But the thing that makes you better is Don't stop writing just because it's bad. Keep writing, keep writing. Just that writing alone in and of itself will help you get better, because you'll slowly train your brain to think in a particular way, to write in a particular way. Because when I started out, I began writing in 1992 while I was in the Army. Just something for me to do to kill time while I had free time rather than going out. Yeah, Mr. Gunn says writing is very hard. Like, yes, it is. And it's like any skill, like any craft or whatever. It's something you have to practice constantly to get good at it, stay good at it.
Yep.
But yeah, I started out in 92 in the Army with just an old-fashioned typewriter. I think it was one of those spinny ball type typewriters, little electric thing. And I typed the stuff out, and I wrote. I just wrote just whatever came to my mind. Usually, it wasn't long fiction. It was like 10, 20 pages at most. And it was one of them that was very memorable to me was a story called Striders, which is basically Voltron done kind of MechWarrior style. And yeah, and it was great. I had a great opening, and yeah, writing well is hard. Exactly. No, it started out great, fun story. Everybody liked it. And then there was this point where they got done with the initial scene, jumped on a ship to go to the academy, and I hit a wall and could not get past it. I finally just said, moved on to the next one and kept working on it. I kept working on different ones until I finally got something that worked.
Mm-hmm. Now, you mentioned AI assisted with your reading it back to you. AI is a really hotly contested thing in gaming, especially game publishing. The use of AI art, the use of AI, things like Chat GPT, things like that. Now, you use AI for the reading back to you, correct?
Yes, I use the AI voices. Now, for me, like I say, AI voices, I use that. I also use it on my channel because really, I mean, I might sound like, I might be a good reader, but if you've ever heard me reading an audiobook, you'll probably want to go jump off of a balcony. So I let the bots do the reading for me. And I've been using that on my channel. But yeah, most of it I use just to read back to myself so I can hear problems. I have started using a couple of different tools as far as the AI chatbots are concerned, because there's Bing Bot, which works with Bing. DuckDuckGo now has Duck Assist. And then there's also Chat GPT. And what I tell people is don't use them in your stories, but they're good for research. Use them like a super Google, because I've asked it like Chat GPT questions before that I couldn't find in like Google or DuckDuckGo or whatever, and it gave me a clue, and I'm like, oh, okay, and I go over and start.
How do you know that Chat GPT is giving you something accurate?
I don't. I have to. Basically, I'll ask it a question, it'll give me an answer, and if it gives me a path I can research down, then I can go over to Google and start going through Google, and oh, there's what I'm looking for, there's the information I'm after. So it's a stepping stone, it's a starting point to get you in a different direction, or in the direction you want to go. Like
gotcha. So you use it not verbatim, you use it as a tool to kind of steer you in a direction you need to go to get as a research tool.
Right, yeah, research tool. Like one good example of this from recently, when I was cleaning up, doing a modernization on my books, especially some of the older ones, to bring them up to current standards, one of the question points I had in book 4, and again, small spoiler, don't freak out. One of the questions I had in book 4 was there is this asteroid inbound to this planet, and they have to divert it off, but they can't divert it off very effectively, so it's got to go and crash into the sun. Well, there's dual suns there, two, Earth side or our solar system size suns. They're spinning around each other, perfectly balanced and everything. And I was like, oh yeah, this big 11 by 15 mile asteroid will crash into the sun, and they'll spin on each other like this. I ran into Chat GPT, and it said, bro, that asteroid isn't even a popcorn fart to those two suns. And I was like, oh, yeah, but I've got to go fix some stuff. I ended up researching, and what was it? Oh yeah, I was going through it and like I said, using it to research, and it ended up. I finally realized that the only thing that was going to give me what I needed in my story was to take orphan brown dwarf and slam it into one of the suns head on, while they're coming together like this. And that was the only way to do it. Even then, it wasn't going to give me all of what I wanted. I thought, close enough. So, but it helped me fix a plot hole I didn't realize it was there because I didn't understand the celestial science of it. And it gave me everything I needed, and I was able to correct my story so that it was actually scientifically accurate.
Yeah, Fugu says ChatGPT can help with some odd things, like I'll ask it for scaling rates to make whistle change from one key to another. So
exactly, yes, strange stuff like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think the thing I found out too is sometimes, like especially when you're researching certain scientific things, you will find that what you're looking for is not all in one nice, neat little article on somebody's blog on the internet. What you're looking for is going to be in 5 different places under 5 different articles, and ChatGPT gives you all of the starting points to go find that information. Then you have to go out and find the articles that have that information, and sit there drinking coffee, boring yourself to death, reading it until you finally get to where you need. And then that's what I need right there, and I can go ahead and do the thing.
Gotcha. All right. Well, pretty interesting. So anything you got planned in the near future, as far as books go or events or anything like that? Like I said, I know that you're coming to WizardCon in April.
Yep, I got Realm Keepers is a possibility. That one's not solidified yet. A friend of mine invited me. I'm just waiting to see what he ends up doing. And
what is it again?
Realm Makers.
What's that?
Well, the funny thing is, it's a writing convention, and it's a Christian writing convention. And it's something he tipped me off to. That basically, it's kind of like going to a regular Comic-Con, but this is for Christian writers. They call it Realm Makers. So
where's that?
It's going to be up in Grand Rapids next year.
Grand Rapids.
I think it's like June. Yeah, it's like June or July, something like that. We're supposed to share a table, I think.
Oh, awesome. Very, very cool. So, all right. Well,
yeah, as far as the other books, though, I think I mentioned this already, but I'll go into it a bit more since we're down to this point. Like I say, I'm working on Magefall, which again is a RPG parody. We got the main character, Rogue Dragon, who he's a riot. Just one second here. I think I can screen share this. Let me check. So I've been using there it is. Okay, let me see if I can screen share or not. There it is. Yeah, there he is. Okay, that it's a bit of AI art, just example art, just like the stuff I have in my wiki. I've been feeding ChatGPT just a bunch of my story ideas, just to see how it reacts to it. More as an experiment, just to kind of get a better feel for the engine. And I just on a whim, I was like, hey, well, how you've seen all of these story ideas and stuff. How do you picture Rogue Dragon? And this is what it came up with. So
gotcha.
Yeah,
so you use AI to kind of assist you in getting your character kind of in your mind, how you see it, and how you view it, right?
Yeah, because the AI art I use to create example images used to be I'd go out to Google, DuckDuckGo, different image search engines, and I would find an image that I thought best fit the character I was working with, and then I would put that. Well, originally I put it in my notes, and then when I created my wiki, I put it in my wiki so that I had something that when I looked up the character, there was that little example image, so that it could help me keep that character's image solidified in my mind.
Yeah, but you don't use AI in your books. You just use it as a reference tool for your own creativity.
Right. Yeah, it's just a reference tool for me. It's not anything. I will never use AI art in an actual, unless it's like something free that I'm doing on YouTube. I will never use it in anything that I release, especially considering all of the icky legalities coming up with AI art, because you got the big one right now. I mean, there's a couple dozen lawsuits on this, but the biggest one right now, and I think you tipped me off to it, is the lawsuit between DeviantArt and Midjourney.
Yeah, and see, that's the thing that I've been telling people in the gaming industry now, and a lot of people are just laughing at it, going, "Oh, bull." There are lawsuits happening that are going to have serious ramifications if they go against these AI art companies. And
Yes.
all these people out there, all these writers and game creators and publishers that are using AI art in their products are going to get a really big rude awakening if these companies start getting judgments and wins against these AI art companies.
Exactly. Yeah. Because until the legal aspects are settled, use it for yourself, use it for free stuff, personal use, whatever, something that does not make money, and you will be fine. Because if I remember correctly, copyright law says if you're just using it for personal use or for something free, you're fine. It's fair use. Beyond that, haul out your wallet and suck it up because you're about to pay a bunch of money.
Yeah, I think that's what's going to end up happening. So,
Right.
but crazy stuff we run into. But
yeah,
well, Steve, appreciate it. Like I said, time flies. It's already been almost 45 minutes.
Yeah.
So,
well, let me go ahead and finish up real quick on Magefall, and then if you guys want to throw in some other stuff, because I know we keep getting off on the
yeah, you're fine. Go ahead. You're fine.
Okay. Anyways, yeah, like I say, Magefall though is World Dragon's the main character in there. I've got 2 different questing teams that are in there, and then I've got a couple of Ronins. Ronins are basically players who don't have a team or guild of their own. They just kind of walk around and get hired out or hire themselves out to different teams to fill in. Like you got Kite's team and you got Rod's team. They're 3-member teams, and they'll periodically be bringing Rogue to play with them. They'll bring in Bomer. They'll bring in like Kyler to help them out on different missions. And the idea behind that is not every team does that. Some do. The idea is if you have a mission or you need a specialist in a certain thing, you can hire them in and add them as the 4th person for that team for that particular mission. So that helps them out. You've got now to describe Magefall itself. If you've ever seen like Sword Art Online or the more recent Shangri-La Frontier, they show what it's like to have a fully immersive virtual reality MMO. And that's essentially what Magefall is. But Magefall also is a little bit deeper than that. It is what is Magefall itself is the main base program. It's the system you log into. It's what keeps all your stats, your items, all of that stuff. And then the games you play bolt onto that and become part of that larger world. So,
Gotcha.
And I like to jokingly say that when you connect to Magefall, you basically matrix in, and it's like you're literally living in there. 2 biggest games in there are Lands of Magic and Galaxy of Empires, which Lands of Magic is the biggest one. That's the one that majority of people play. Second biggest is Galaxy of Empires. That's kind of the sci-fi half of it. And then there's all these other different games that are in there that people play. Everything from Westerns to our first-person shooters. Not an RPG, but it's what is it where you real-time strategy. You got real-time strategy games. You get into you can play like their version of World of Tanks and World of Warships. Not those actual games, but their version of them.
Yeah.
And then you've got like I said, just even if you don't want a game, you can just come into the main world of Magefall, and there is all these cities and all these people and stuff that you can get involved in. It's a very rich world, but then when I write the story, I write like little vignettes, like little one-shots that are different snapshots of the world, and they're all done with humor and slapstick and punnery. And I do have a few of them that are, if you've ever, well, let me rephrase that. Like when you're playing a first-person shooter or you're playing a fighting game, you got swords and stuff. There's stories in there that are just pure action, just me having fun with a story, either on the fantasy or sci-fi level and stuff. And there might be a little bit of humor in there, but it's a lot of just action-packed fun. So there's humor, there's fun, there's action, and all of this stuff all the way through the books. So if you're not falling out of your chair or your couch or something at least a couple times while you're reading it, then I didn't do my job.
Now, before you go, besides realmsofImagination.net, looking at your books, they can go to Amazon, look you up, correct?
Yes. Realms of Imagination has all of the sales links, but yeah, I'm out on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Smashwords, a whole bunch of other ones. So
Yeah, you got your digital books out there, your audio books, and also everything's linked off on Realms of Imagination or realmsofimagination.net, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Well, Steve, we appreciate you coming on.
Yeah.
You know,
Anything else you want to talk about?
actually, that's about it. I mean, your books and everything, and got through that, and talked about the big thing about getting people to your website. Hopefully, get a few people to go over and maybe click on some links and get some sales for you.
Oh, absolutely.
So, again, we appreciate you, Steve.
Oh,
Yeah, man.
thanks, man.
All right,
And,
and
well,
go
if
ahead.
anybody else has any questions on any of the listeners, I'm happy to answer those.
Actually, I don't see many questions in here. Yeah, the big thing is just what we want to do with this is to get word out about you, get word about your books, get people towards your website. Hopefully, you'll see a spike in travel or traffic to your website. They can also access, I believe, along with your website, they can also access your wiki from your website, correct?
Yes.
Okay, that tells a lot about your storyline, about stuff like that, and about your books and each individual character in your books and all that. You break it down.
Right. Yep. Right.
All right.
The technology, the characters, the worlds, all that stuff.
All right. Well, again, Steve, we appreciate you coming on tonight.
Oh, thanks.
All right, and like I said, I encourage everybody to go to realmsofimagination.net, check out Steve's wiki or his website. Like I said, he has books in both audio or all three, physical print, audio books, and ebooks.
Yeah.
Ebooks, yes.
All right.
Not everything's in print right now, and there's only 4 books in audiobook, but I'm expanding that out. That takes time, but yeah, I'm working on getting that out. For a while there, I was only ebook, just personal reasons more than anything. But yeah, I'm slowly working my way back out into all of those. So those will be available over the coming year.
Gotcha. All right. Well, Steve, again, thank you for coming on the show. And we encourage everybody to head over to realmsofimagination.net and check out your stuff. So, Steve, thank you very much, and try to have a good night, okay?
You too.
All right.
Good.
All right. He does a lot of writing. A lot of writing on a lot of different.
He has 29. There's 29 books on his website, folks.
Yeah. He has done a lot of writing. Also, tonight we want to have kind of like a post Ken Whitman debrief.
Yep.
Because Ken, I guess, got a little bit offended, I guess, at the end of the video.
He got, he thought he was getting a very nice cushion, and it wound up having lots of tack because, he wasn't the most. What's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to say anything bad about Ken, but let's say he wasn't the forthright with his answers. They weren't necessarily all on target and correct.
Yeah, and on top of that, he got a little offended when you made the comment about him not being able to do another wiki, or not a wiki,
can't do another Kickstarter, Ken. You can't do another. I can do a Kickstarter.
Yeah, well, basically what he did was he started messaging me up to 2 o'clock in the morning. He was sending me messages, and one of them that he popped off was he basically did a screenshot and said, as you can show Eric the D20 can indeed launch a Kickstarter anytime I want. And he showed where he actually could possibly fire up another Kickstarter.
What I said he couldn't do another Kickstarter is he will never make another penny from Kickstarter. That it has nothing to do with anything I would do. Honestly, you don't need me to do anything at this point. The community itself will certainly let Kickstarter know, hey, we still have 6 outstanding projects from this person. So, yeah.
He also,
and
I don't know why he showed me this, but he showed me this screenshot in chat.
Gamer pen.
The 6-in-1 gamer pen, but also a whole slew of his Kickstarters that he launched.
That are all funded, not delivered, but they're all funded.
Yeah.
Well done, Ken.
And he did 2 pencil dices?
Yes, he did. All right, so here's the reason why there were 2 pencil dice Kickstarters. This is going from my memory. It may be a little foggy. But the first pencil dice Kickstarter, I believe the first pencil dice Kickstarter was unbranded. Yes.
Ah,
Second one had because Ken has friends in the industry or had friends in the industry. He got people to go, yeah, I'll license you, Traveler, for a penny, and I'll license you, Castles of Crusade, for a penny. So he had the branded dice. So now look between the two Kickstarters. You're looking at February 28th, 2015 funded, March
yeah.
10th, 2015 funded. So these were right back to back. That is almost $47,000 for, excuse my language,
Pencil dice.
fucking pencils. And Ken has the pencils. He has the embosser, but he's not doing it. Now, why is Ken not doing it? And I'll tell you why. I think this is obvious to anyone who knows how minds work, how incentives work. When you're paid all the money up front and it's your money, what's the incentive to produce product if you've already been paid?
1688.
So,
1688.
you count the number of backers?
Well, if you do the math, people are paying on average $22 for a frickin' pencil.
Well, they're getting a bunch of pencils. They're like, I'll get 100 pencils. And now listen, there were Kickstarters that I backed where it's like, you know what? There's a point where the pricing becomes like stupidly cheap per item, and I'll be like, hey, I'll back for 100, and I'll just give them away at conventions that I go to. And I've done that with certain stuff like from Square Hex. But the reality is, with people like classic Ken Whitman, and Ken claims it's changed. Who am I to say otherwise? The fact that fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, fuck you. But Ken has shown that if you give him money, he's happy to take your money, but he won't give you a return on what you gave him. So my advice, if Ken's gonna return to this business of creating, he better not go for crowdfunding, because nobody in their right mind who knows about him is going to give him money, because he's proven if you give him money up front, he gives you nothing in return.
Well, this is really interesting about Ken. He basically sent me this, okay? Now, this is a setup for those of you who don't realize this. What he did is he said, I have a great show idea for you. You meet Jolly and Barbara, meet at a Polygraph specialist in Indianapolis. I'm in Battle Creek, Michigan, okay? And we'll see if my story checks out about Barbara and Jolly. I know I'll pass with flying colors. I don't think they will. Just saying, I'm 100% down with doing this anytime, any place. And you know it'll put thousands of asses in the seat. At least reach out and ask them. Okay, keep in mind here, there's a little bit of there's a whole lot of manipulation going on here. First, we're going to go backwards. He throws the carrot out that if we do this, it'll put a lot of people watching our channel. Okay, but let's think about this for a minute. What he did is he's looking to be able to say, I offered and they declined. But you got to look what he's offering. He's expecting me or us, or I'll just say me because I was talking to him, to go and hire a polygraph specialist at what, $4 or $5 grand, and to go down to Indianapolis, Indiana, and set this up, which he knows I'm not going to do. So what he's going to do is he's going to say, see, I offered to take a polygraph even, and they declined, so they must be hiding something. No, Ken. What you're doing is you're offering something that is absolutely impossible to do, because I came back at him and said, well, would you like to pay for the polygraph specialist? And of course, I didn't get an answer.
Oh, you got ghosted? Oh, what a surprise. No.
Yeah, that was the last communication matter of fact I had with him.
Because that's you calling him. That's you telling him, all right, Ken. Yeah, it's a great idea. Are you footing the bill? But Ken's not footing the bill. Remember, he only pays himself $18,000 a year. Folks,
But wait.
I'm just going to tell you.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
What is the significance about only being able to make $18,000 a year?
Well,
say
there's a certain earnings limit. Now listen,
theory only.
this is just a theory, but there is an earnings limit in the year 2024 if you're on SSDI of 18,600. So I don't know why Ken's throwing out 18,000. I only pay myself 18,000. I will say this, folks. I and another are working on a fact check of last week's video, and not sure exactly when we're going to get to do it. Probably not until early next week, Monday or Tuesday. And by the way, if you're local to Connecticut, New York, there's a James Carpio Memorial on Sunday afternoon. Yeah. You can go on Facebook. You can find the information on it. I'll be going, but that's why Sunday doesn't work for me. But we are going to get a fact check with the individual that's the main man behind Not Another Dime. And if there's anybody who keeps a closer eye on Ken than I do, it's Not Another Dime. So it's going to be a very complete and interesting fact check. I do fully expect Ken will respond to it once it goes up, because he can't help himself. But, the truth is, Ken, here's another thing we'll figure this out. A year and a half ago, I got to find out the exact date when Ken emailed me and tried to set up his first return. So that date's important because we're going to see what the nexus is. What was going on a year and a half ago, because Ken is reinventing. By the way, if you go to your Kickstarter, if you're a Kickstarter backer, you know what that D20 Entertainment logo looks like, right? It's changed now. It's now the Little Monsters logo. Little Monsters was his
first entertainment company.
Yeah, but
which, by the way, the Little Red Monster is stolen flat out, being used commercially from a friend of mine in the Ukraine. He's an artist, and he just found out about that because he watched our video and he started looking up Ken Whitman. And Whitman's getting paperwork in the mail from a U.S. attorney. Because this guy in the Ukraine may be from Ukraine, but he's got money, and he's got the money to hire an attorney. And that little red creature is taken directly from his art online, and he does not have commercial use licensing for it.
Well, Ken, I would advise that you figure this one out quickly. Ken's been using that since he had his comic book store or his online comic book video channel. And then it became his movie creation stuff. So, I mean, now that's the graphic now for D20 Entertainment, which, by the way, I know Ken insists that D20 Entertainment, he has it as an LLC. Well, no, you don't, sir. And I know you don't. I know you don't because I know who has it.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Well, not that, he claimed also that it's trademarked and all that, and it's not trademarked. Yeah. So all this little TM next to stuff, and he likes to throw that out there that's trademarked. No, it's not trademarked. And see, that's the fundamental thing about Ken Whitman is, everything he says is bullshit. I mean, it's not. You can't even be honest by saying it's one thing. Just be honest. That's my logo I use. Why did I always add I trademarked it too? No, I didn't. He's got an LLC. No, he doesn't. We know about his LLCs because we checked all his LLCs out. I did that last week.
Yeah.
And he has LLCs filed as recently as March and February of 2024, but all of his LLCs revolve around his movie making thing. Okay, someone's also saying, what's wrong with his mic? I got to check out my mic. I apologize to everybody if my mic is off tonight.
It's a little scratchy. You could be bad mic bad, and we don't want that.
True. And also, I'd like to highlight this comment. Lopsided Social says, cheap viewers on Stringo.com ruin the space. You're in the wrong channel. If you go on over to Evil DM on YouTube, he's looking to pay for viewers and subs.
Yeah.
So that's the guy you want to talk to, not here. So, but again, my apologies. I know Eric said he'd go in because he got us live tonight or over at the Discord. I apologize about my mic. I will get it fixed. I don't know what's going on with it. So, Eric, thanks for coming on tonight.
Thank you for having me, man. This is always a good time.
So, again, everybody, thank you for tuning in tonight. We apologize for mics. We apologize. I'm getting ooze connection loss. Keeps blinking on my screen, so I guess something to do with my connection here.
It might be your internet, yeah.
Yeah, we got really bad weather coming in here, so I think we got maybe it's affecting something. Maybe a crackhead down the street ran into a whatever. But all right, everybody, try to have a good night, Eric. Enjoy Discord tonight. And again, thank you for guest Stephen Light coming on earlier